Welcome to another episode of Coot Grin Motorsports. On today's episode, we will be trading the tray and canopy off our 98 Tacoma Ute for this 4th Gen 4Runner. Today's the day. Our 1998 Toyota Tacoma Ute might be changing. The Facebook Marketplace find of the century. We'll be trading the tray and the canopy for a 4th Gen 4Runner, 4.7 V8. Our homie Jesse, once again, helping us out. Super stoked. Hopefully we don't get murdered. So come along for the trip. So I had been talking with this guy for about a week, planning this on Facebook Marketplace. And at first I thought he was kidding when he said he wanted to trade my tray and canopy setup for a 4th Gen 4Runner with 197,000 miles on it. But it ended up being real. We took the canopy off, and this was our first look at the 4Runner.
This, the wife's new rig.
Super stoked with the trade. Honestly, it was rad that we got to keep the truck. It means a lot to us. That little truck, it's taken us all around the country. But yeah, started taking apart this green Tacoma, super rad little truck, super clean. Took off the bed, took off the bumper, and got amongst getting our tray on there. After we got the bumper off, it was 4 bolts and a pretty easy lift for 2 people. These stock tubs don't weigh a lot, but always good to have extra homies to help you out lift the stuff on and off the trucks. Got the bed off this green extra cab and gonna transfer over the tray, and we traded the tray and the canopy for a 4th Gen 4Runner. Like I said, I'm still in shock that this trade actually went down. I would probably call this the best Facebook Marketplace trade I've ever gotten in my whole life. We did weld a plate for the filler neck to stay in place, so had to drill and cut that out with a Sawzall. But after that, we were ready to lift off our tray and put it on the new rig. And just like that, our 98 Tacoma Ute is no longer a Ute. With the homies helping out, it was an easy lift. This tray definitely weighs a little bit more than the stock bed, as you will see. Made sure the filler neck all lined up and put it down and adjusted it so it would fit the 4 bolts of the OG tub. After we got the tray all lined up with spacers in between the tray and the mounts, got it all bolted down and attached the taillights to the OG taillight wiring harnesses. Made sure everything worked and was in good order and called it a day. Really stoked with how the tray looks on its new home. This rig looks really nice with the tray and canopy setup. And yeah, it was really rad meeting the new owner. He ended up being a really cool guy. And with that, we ripped the trucks 3 hours back. The Tacoma had no taillights and no bed. The ride was super rough and bumpy, and Jesse was behind me with the V8 4Runner with no plate. So at this point, we have driven it home and went to bed that night. It was late once we got back. And yeah, this V8 4Runner came with a DIY weld your own coastal off-road bumper. So we ended up getting it all ready the next day and started to weld it into place. This is also the moment that my camera microphone decided to stop working, so all of this has no sound. But yeah, first step, disconnect the battery. Anytime you're welding onto your truck, make sure to disconnect your battery or you'll fry your electronics. And with that, we took the old Harbor Freight welder, nothing special, nothing fancy, flux core, no gas needed, and went to town on this bumper.
super big thank you to Jesse. He's the homie that helped drive this truck back. Couldn't have done it without him. It was an absolute mission. But we ended up making it happen, and now we have this super rad new truck. And yeah, here's more video of me welding up the bumper. Yeah. Can't be working on trucks in the garage without getting baked, so had to take a little celebratory bong rip and got back to welding and grinding. So over the next whole day, we ended up tacking and welding most of the bumper into place. We were using ratchet straps to make sure all the plates lined up perfectly and tacked them into place. Made sure they were good and stuck on there, and then yeah, started adding the front wing pieces after this. So for the longest time, a lot of projects that required welding would always scare me away because that was not a skill that I had mastered yet. But over the last few months, been practicing, and just like everything else, practice makes you better. So it is still intimidating a little bit to weld up something, but I love the process of it. You take a pile of metal and transform it into something rad, like this bumper. I would always let the fact that I couldn't weld stop me from doing certain projects, but it's just a skill. Practice makes perfect. Go get yourself a super cheap welding setup. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Welding with flux core is quite easy. I think the welder we're using is from Harbor Freight. It is on sale right now, I think for $130. You can get a welding mask for about $50 to $100, depending on how nice you're gonna go, and a pair of gloves, and then you can literally create anything you want out of metal. Get a wire brush too, that helps take the welding slag off. But yeah, spent the whole rest of the day welding this thing up. It did take quite a while, and we did have to do a second day of welding and grinding on it to make it look good. These little welders are super rad. They plug into any wall outlet, and it takes quite a bit for you to trip the breakers with this. So plug and play basically anywhere, anytime, and you can weld. I do recommend wearing a mask underneath the welding shield. You will be right next to all those toxic fumes. As you can see, they're just billowing all around me. Wear a mask and also wear a hat, because the welding slag will pop off and hit you on top of the head and burn your hair. Don't ask me how I know. And with the majority of the bumper all welded up, that would be the end of the first day of ownership. This is what it ended up looking like at the end of the first day. Bumper mostly put together, but tacked into place. So this is the start of the second day. Pulled it in and finished off the welds. There was only 5 or 6 that I needed to finish up. We are at the homie Bob's house. He's a legend, always a big help, and he was on the grinder getting after it, cleaning up the seams and getting it ready to clear coat. The little Harbor Freight welder does lay down some beads. It is pretty heavy duty for what it is.
Anyway, that's our new project.
So, end of the second day, we have the bumper fully welded up and mostly ground down. We are going to do some more grinding in the next coming days, and then we're going to actually leave this bumper bare metal and clear coat it. I think that'll look really cool and kind of be an ode to the Tacoma Ute right next to it, as you can see with the aluminum bumper. Just doing a little flex test there, and yeah, overall just super stoked with this rig, how it drives. The V8 is really nice and really powerful, along with the rear roll down window. Love that feature. And also, this is a cool little thing. It's got this secondary shelf in the back that you can stack stuff on. Pretty cool. And then it just pops down onto the floor when you're not using it. Never thought I'd be a 4Runner guy, but come on, this thing's pretty mint. The Lexus wooden steering wheel and shift knob, super classy. Give it a JDM vibe. But yeah, that's our new 4Runner project. We'll be doing a bunch of other stuff, a bunch of fab work coming up here and making this the ultimate camping and towing V8 touring rig. Anyway, here's a sped up version of me talking with no sound because my mic. Like, subscribe, share this video, follow me on Kook Grin on Instagram, and stay tuned for the build.